on the ground that comes up the wall, you know, the old school kind of thing. So he thinks if he adds an air intake, that it might help with the condensation and they might be able to get the ducts. Does that sound reasonable to you?
My concern is if they're saying that it's from, do you have metal ducts in the attic like this? Okay. So what happens throughout time, and our house was like that, the paper around it, the insulation goes away, and your attic's so hot, and you got 50, so it's, you know. And so that's why you got those drips. So if they add a return, from what you're telling me, if they add a return air, it doesn't matter because your attic is still hot and that ductwork's cold, condensation's still going to develop. Unless you air condition your attic.
Okay, but the air handler itself is profusely sweating, the brand new one.
Is it in, so it's not in an air conditioned room?
It's in the attic.
It's in the attic.
And it's profusely sweating, the air handler itself. So would adding an intake help that?
I don't see how it would because your unit's up in a 150 degree, 120 degree environment.
Yeah.
And being new, it really shouldn't sweat. The insulation on the units, and the unit's nice and tight. All the screws are nice and tight. Everything's nice and tight because it's brand new.
Right.
You know, if you 10 years from now, after doing maintenance and stuff like that, the panels are going to get loose. Air is going to start coming out of it, and it'll start sweating.
So should I be concerned that the air handler is sweating and that they're telling me to add an intake and that's going to help?
From what you're telling me, I would be. I would ask them, you know, let's make sure all the panels are tight and everything, that no air is escaping. Because if all the panels are tight and you don't have any air escaping, except going down the supply air vent, then it shouldn't sweat because you have brand new insulation on the inside of the unit.
Right.
Now, if a panel, for whatever reason, is kind of jarred and it's not straight, and there's a little bit of air leaking out, it'll sweat. Because you got cold air coming out, like where the panel might not be making good contact, and as soon as it hits that hot attic air, that's where it's going to start sweating.
All right, question. Now, if the air handler, is she playing? So my life is
fine, I got it. I'll watch her and listen to you guys.
If the air handler was not sweating, would my ducts not sweat? Or is that a whole two separate issues?
Two separate issues. If you got the old duct that's metal, okay, the old metal duct that used to have the insulation on the outside, and the insulation, you know, after 40 years breaks down and falls apart, so it's going to sweat. So it's two separate issues. Two separate issues. What you tell me. But we have if your house is like ours, originally they weren't air conditioned. They just had heat.
No, these Camino Garden, you know, they were air conditioned.
Yeah, so they were for the snowbirds, and they came down here in the winter. So the ductwork was insulated on the metal. It was insulated on the outside, and all that stuff deteriorates after so many years.
Right.
So we ripped all our ductwork out and started from scratch.
$3,500 if you all the ductwork. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot. Never really did the residential for what we charged for that. There's this guy, Design Air, that a friend of mine who was right next door to us. The company I was thinking about buying. I can ask him.
Right.
But how many total? 8 drops. Okay. And how many tons is the air conditioner?
3.5.
Okay, I'll call Sean and ask him. 3.5 tons. 8 drops.
And the sweating,
though, it's a ranch style house, not a 2-story house.
Ranch. Only 1 story. My concern is the air handler.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the air handlers being up in the attic. My duplexes are like that, but I don't have anywhere to put them.
Right, exactly.
So, but, you know, I was talking to this old guy, Sean, I'm going to pull up. He says, well, they've been up there, making them that way, and been up there for years.
Yeah. We had at the other house, it was fine. I went up there, and when I saw the leak on my, after I paid $3,200 to have the popcorn and the ceiling spray painted, I see the leak up there, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I get up into the attic, and the whole thing is sweating, the whole AC, the air handler itself.
It shouldn't be sweating. Not if it's brand new. It should not sweat.
And he wants to charge me $375 to add the intake.
Shouldn't be sweating. Brand new unit. I don't care how hot it is up there, unless it has some type of leak around the panel.
If there was a leak in the duct, would that cause the air handler to sweat?
If the leak in the ductwork was close to the metal on the unit, okay.
Now let's say the air handler is in the attic, and the leak in the duct is a good 15 feet away.
No, because it's right where you've got the outside of the unit's 100 degrees. The inside of the unit is 50 degrees. So the leak would have to be right at the unit. And wherever the leak is, right where the leak is where the condensation is going to be. Now, if you're telling me that all the panels and everything are sweating, then the panels on the air handler, or the panels on...
that's what's sweating.
The whole thing's sweating.
But like when you go up in the attic, the air handler itself is the whole, like, you know,